Anyway.
That's so good.
All right, you pick one.
Keep it in the universe.
Mrs. Jake did say do Scream, so at some point I think we got to get to that.
She wants to hear that for sure.
Fuck it, let's do the Scream right now. Because I was torn between Star Wars or Fast and Furious.
I can't do Fast and Furious. I can do Star Wars. I can do Scream.
All
I
of
the very first one.
When you're about family, Daniel. When you're about family.
Okay, Tim. Okay, Tim. Slow down.
No. Kidding.
You can have any beer in my fridge as long as it's a Corona.
There's maybe one or two I'd put above. I'd have to think about it. I don't think I could do Fast and Furious right now. I'd really have to think about that for the
another episode. Let's take care of Scream then. Let's make sure our fans get what they want.
Scream we can do now.
We can do this. Number 1, Scream.
Well, Dan, every one of them is going to be up below, by the way. Dan hates it.
That's not true. That is not true. That's not true.
All right, he likes the new ones.
You got to go first. I'm waiting for you first. Start with 1. Go, buddy.
For part 1, I'm above.
Change the game, Daniel. Change the game.
It's above the Miyagi Line.
All right, I love it.
So we had this conversation about Jurassic Park, about Jaws, about it is. I mean, Scream is not a bad movie. It's well made, well told, all this stuff. I don't like how people put it in the pantheon because I don't think it belongs there.
I do.
It's definitely above watchable, but it's not Scream 2. Go ahead.
I feel like I have a video for that. Scream 2 is below.
Wait, I was like, did we get everybody for Scream 1?
Yeah, I said above, and I think I surprised Mick. But the problem is that my problem isn't that Scream isn't a great movie. It's that Scream isn't like top tier, like people talk about it. People put it in the same conversation as like Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'm sorry, it's just not there.
Nope, and that's what I was gonna say. It's plagued by this bit of this plateau in its identity, but then it's gone where it has such a longevity that we kind of get a little bit of a sign graph or a heartbeat for it, where it's like good, and then it kind of comes back, and then it comes back to the good a little bit, and then it kind of stood down there for a little bit and started coming back with some of its revival. So for 2, I'm putting 2 just shy, just below the line.
All right, I'm going back a few seconds to Scream 1, and I'm going to say this. It absolutely belongs in the pantheon with Nightmare on Elm Street, but for different reasons. Nightmare on Elm Street is almost... I will say this, and people disagree with me often, but when it comes to the horror genre, I think there are 2 perfect screenplays in the horror genre. And that is Alien, and that is Nightmare on Elm Street. These are 2 ones... No, that's the only 2 in my opinion. I love, Silence of the Lambs is great. All these different ones are great, but they're not perfect scripts. They're not perfect screenplays with perfect stories.
Scream is not a perfect script.
What is it?
Scream.
What?
Just not
Scream. I said Nightmare on Elm Street and Alien.
Nightmare nailed it. Alien.
No, but what I'm saying is my 2 perfect scripts in horror genre are Alien and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, I thought you said Scream. I thought
what I'm saying is Scream belongs in the pantheon for different reasons. It doesn't belong there for A Nightmare on Elm Street gets it for perfect screenplay and just a lot of other elements and introducing probably one of the most iconic characters of all time. But
I mean, worldwide,
Scream
he's part of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for its influence, Scream gets it. There was a dead genre that had no life being pumped into it, and Scream did it.
So it doesn't bother you at all that they just looked at the plot of Freddy's Dead and then rehashed it.
That's kind of a stretch.
I don't think that's a stretch at all.
Elaborate. Hold on, we gotta talk about that. Elaborate.
You mean that they invented the meta horror? Bull. So in 1993, Freddy's Dead comes out. That reinvented horror. That reinvented it.
Wait. Freddy's Dead or Freddy's or
New Nightmare?
New Nightmare. Sorry, New Nightmare.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Freddy's Dead, dude. Breckenmeyer.
No,
playing a video game.
New Nightmare crawled across glass on a dead at the time franchise, so that way Scream could walk.
Oh, you know what? I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm with you on that.
Because it's the meta. It brings it into the real world. I see what Wes Craven was going with. Here's why Scream is what perfected it. is because Wes Craven's New Nightmare was so well written and went right to it. That's why I think he had to have some influence on the Scream script when it came finally into it, is because this meta idea was so huge for him. And that it's actually, you can date that back to a lot of his earlier movies like Serpent and Rainbow and such, but I'm not getting into that now. So if you...
Good movie, by the way.
I think people don't think I knew this much about movies. So for this, when you push forward, so New Nightmare needed to exist for Scream to win, but Scream perfected it. If there was no New Nightmare, Scream wasn't there. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It wouldn't have existed without New Nightmare. Those elements all combined had to come together to make Scream, but it perfected it. It walked, and it belongs in the pantheon. That's why.
Let me ask you a question to rebuttal the last piece of that statement there. Do you think had Scream come out first, then we would not have got a New Nightmare? Or do you think that would have led the way for them to do a New Nightmare?
Scream would have never existed without New Nightmare existing. Because of the element of the meta and what Wes Craven was trying to do in that movie for horror, which is, in my opinion, is a revolutionary. And I can talk about that movie as a revolutionary movie in the horror genre and what it did. And I will never put down New Nightmare. I love that movie. I don't understand why people sometimes hate it.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites.
It was way ahead of its time. It was way ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Dan, it's so far ahead of its time. Ari Aster hasn't caught up yet. That's the problem. So my thing is, and we all know how I feel about him, but my thing is, Scream would have never been written if not for New Nightmare having existed.
Wait. But so I'm trying to think of timelines, because Scream came out, what, 95, 96?
96.
And New Nightmare came out 94?
93, 94, something like that. There was really good music at the time. That's all I know.
93. New Nightmare was 93. Scream was 96. Production for Scream began a year and a half after they wrapped production or post-production on New Nightmare.
I got you, Milan.
So, okay.
I'm sorry, I don't put it in the pantheon. Scream 2 is not above either. Scream 2 is
argument for why it belongs there.
Scream 2 kills the best character in the franchise.
Before we move on to 3 real quick. So you said that since New Nightmare came out, Scream was able to come out, but at the same time, how do you claim exactly how do they play into the meta thing? I mean, one is taking a fictional character and bringing it into the real world, and the other one is taking the real world and bringing out the evil of certain people that are there, which, I mean, that's kind of the derivative story of Freddy, because he saw the figure in the alleyway and thought, you know, there was evil or whatever. But so how exactly does Scream produce the meta? Because to me, it doesn't do that until the last 2, 5 and 6.
If you allow me, Dan, mind if I take this one for a sec?
You take it. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna drink my whiskey.
I gotta get my 8th Ventura breath in, because I'm about to do a lot of Wes Craven in a really short period of time.
Right here.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Wes Craven was actually a psychology teacher. He was very deeply rooted in psychology and realism and dealing with a lot of things. Dreams also included in that, and how they worked in realism. That's why when you watch Last House on the Left, it's deeply rooted in realism. But by the time you get to the end of it, after all the massacre, you realize that it's turning. He always turns the realism. As you keep going, Hills Have Eyes is the same way. The violence is what's pushing this realism. Then you keep going. You get to finally Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street is such a thing where they are playing with you that everything, you don't know whether it's real or whether it's in the dream. And then when you finally get to it, the only way to beat it is to bring it to realism, bring it to reality to defeat it. And that still doesn't do it. And now I'm not covering the rest of those movies, because he wasn't deeply rooted in much of them. Then we get to New Nightmare. Okay. And now you have Serpent and Rainbow, which is bringing the realism of religion and things and how it affects life and what goes on in the corruption that goes on within that area that takes place. And I can go on and on about most of his movies and how realism plays into it. You get to New Nightmare. New Nightmare is where he takes a character he built, basing it on all of these things I'm talking, these themes, and then he finally turns around and he pulls the 7th one down and do it himself. And he decides to turn it into realism. Show us real life. Why bring us back to these characters that are gone? He wants to bring it back to the beginning. He wants to bring Heather Langenkamp back and Robert Englund. And while he's doing that and celebrating this tenure that this franchise had, he pulls in, and you get the realism of that life. She's an actress, but now this thing that has taken over her life, this entity from the unreal world, part of her world, is invading and starting to come into her life, into her realism. Now, that is for me, it's a revolutionary horror script. Is it perfect? No. Has a lot of issues, and I think where the perfection comes in is when he comes into Scream and he decides to flip-flop it and not make it that reality, that is an unrealistic thing is trying to get into reality, but reality is trying to bend itself into an unrealistic theme. And
reality becomes the fantasy for the first time.
So, did I answer your question? I'm kind of lightheaded at the moment.
So reality.
So if I answered your question, you're welcome. If I didn't, I'm sorry.
One more time. Say that again for me, Dan. You said reality becomes what? No, not you. Just the last thing Dan said.
So for the first time, what's up, Paul? For the first time, reality is based on fantasy. The fantasy isn't a reflection of reality.
Got you. Where typically movies is art that's imitating life. Now this is okay. And so art imitating life as the art. Gotcha.
And here's where Dan's probably going to punch me in the face next time he sees me. Scream 3. Above the line for me.
Oh my God, no! Oh, it's so far below the line.
Is 3 the one that they go back to the movie set and everything? And
this is the movie set one.
Yeah, I love the cut next to the mom and all that shit.
Okay, stick with me on this, Chris.
I'm with you.
Touching back on what we just said about reality becoming fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
My problem with 3 and why it's so far below the Mendoza line that I'm taking a dump on it. It is what Wes Craven does interjected with what's called post-structuralism. It's self-effacing in terms of reality becoming fantasy, becoming reality, becoming fantasy. Have you ever seen Fight Club where he explains like it's
that movie is below the line for me.
Fight Club's above, but
you're bugging.
No, it is above, but I don't
like it. It's a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection, and it's built on some work by this guy by the name of Baudrillard, who in the 1980s pointed out this thing that everything is a copy of a copy of a copy. My problem with Scream 3 is it's so on the nail
for that
in terms of what it does that I hate it. It's the same reason I dislike it when movies have the title in the movie. I don't like that. Like, I hate it when something is like, boom, on the head. Like, I don't hit the nail. Don't hit the nail. I want that subtlety. I want that, like, kind of level of interpretation.
I'm like, wait, what? No. No one's ever said, you know what? God damn it, they just missed the mark, and I'm fucking happy they did. I've never heard that.
Not missed the mark. It's not about missing the mark, Chris.
I want to throw my equipment because you just said I want subtlety, but I talked to you in depth about Jaws, and you are driving me. If there's not more of a subtle horror movie than Jaws,
the problem with Jaws is that the first third of the movie has nothing to do with the plot.
You're insane. It has everything to do with the plot. It builds so.
I knew. I knew I'd get.
Oh.
See, and I'm kind of a shake on this one because I feel like Jaws never did it for me. I feel like it was always dry until scene 2 or act 2 or 3, the end of act 2 or beginning of 3.
Yes, our show, Chris, our show.
Fuck it, let's go,
dude.
Family.
You guys are ridiculous. In the world of filmmaking, that is almost a damn near perfect.
I understand why. Don't get me wrong. I understand the revolutionariness behind it. I understand the vision behind it.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying from like every shot tells a story and drives character and builds it to get to that end. That end. Everything there is I can tell you every fucking shot. I've studied this movie in and out. In every shot, there's something leading to the inevitable end of how this happened, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
How does the mayor lead
It's a mayor as the face of the corruption. What does he look like? He looks like every beautiful politician we've ever seen. And if he's the face of the corruption, without the mayor, those beaches stay closed. He needs to be there.
Still gotta hunt the shark.
Yes, you do, and they do. That's the third act. It's the
so what does it matter whether the beaches are closed or open?
Daniel, you needed to keep the beaches open so that Kittner boy could get killed, and
just
it could
kill the Kittner boy, boy, close the beaches.
You had to do it in front of everybody with the beaches open.
Yeah, but that's the problem with the whole premise behind it. If you have to force it because of movie magic, because that wouldn't be the case. The fucking beach would be closed. Everybody would be
forcing it.
Everybody would have been evacuated off the beach already, not able to stand there watching the shit and have them hash out the plan, trying to figure out what they're gonna do.
We're making Mick so mad right now. We're making
every aspect of this movie is a natural progression from beginning to end. You guys are rousing me. I know what you're doing, and it's working. But
I'm being honest.
Dude, no, every choice made in that movie is a progression naturally, and it goes to the character and who they are and what it's building to get to the finality of how it all has to play out.
I feel like this is how it goes.
To die in it.
I feel like this is how it goes. Shark! Everybody off the beach. Somebody jumps in the water, starts paddling, trying to save if the person's still alive, and then everybody else is getting off the beach. There's another lifeguard, and then another lifeguard jumps in behind the other lifeguard. Everybody off the beach! Clear the area! And then the fucking cars come out of nowhere on the beach, and
I
the bullies and the stretchers.
We're sturdy.
We're off real slow, and then Zac Efron comes real slow.
Dude, I know my buddy Gerard is out there. Gerard, you want to jump on? You say the word and I'll send you the link. I need somebody to help me with this argument, and I swear to God, if you come on and you start saying what they're saying, I'm going to lose.
Jaws is like a 3 movie.
Well, okay, we got to get to an important Scream, because this is one that Scream 4 is...
I swear to God, Dan.
Okay, which one's 4 again?
The fucking
4 is the
little Julia Roberts.
Social media.
Yeah. Little Julia Roberts and little Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
That's who it was. Those were the killers. I ruined it for you. Don't watch it.
It's below. I threatened Mrs. Shake to never get to pick a movie again after we watched it.
I gotta do a quick Google search to remind myself. I need some imagery.
Yeah, because it was that forgettable. It was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad movie.
And that was one where absolutely I wish I could have talked to Wes Craven and said, like, what? Where was the meta? Where was the realism?
He just wanted the social media aspect in it. He wanted that social media. He was adding another layer about how social media is a replication. And so now we have a replication of a replication of a replication. And like and when you're getting to that many tiers, it's like, okay, dude, I get it. Like, not only is it too obvious, it was poorly acted. Everybody loved what's the Miss Shake? What's the character everybody loves from that one?
Dewey?
No, I mean,
I kind of like Dewey.
I kind of remember the actress's name. I can't.
Emma Roberts?
Nope.
Emma Roberts? No. Hayden Panettiere?
Hayden
Panettiere. She's yeah.
Because she knew all the movies.
What's her character's name? I can't remember. Tim loves her in that movie.
Oh,
like, he told me I don't get it because I'm geriatric millennial or late Gen X, whatever you want to call it. Kirby, yeah. He said, I don't get it. Sure. And I was like, I don't have to get it. It's just bad. Like, I don't like her character. I don't like the movie. I think it's below the Miyagi line.
I'm with you.
I'm with you on that for sure. Because just for the simple fact that I had to go back to even bring up any type of imagery from it. I was looking at the screenshots from some of these fucking clips here. I don't remember this movie at all, so I'm gonna need to rewatch this one. And that's a problem.
It was a dumb one. And actually, I think, and the funny thing for me is they took 4 and realized they fucked up in a lot of ways, and then they made 5, and it worked. And I'm sorry that Wes Craven wasn't at the helm of it, because I love Wes Craven, but I think that's where they fixed the franchise to utilize social media and everything else in the right way.
So 5 is the one that came out like a year and a half ago?
Not the one in New York City, the one before that.
Right.
All the
yeah, so
gotcha. So the one that
I say is above, and I'm going to go so far as to say that 5 is the best in the franchise.
Wait, this is Shake. Are you saying 5 is below the line?
4. She hates 4 too. We rewatch. So we own the collection and we watched them all. I've always been too low on 3, even though like I hate it. I don't hate it as much anymore. I like 2 even less than I originally did because they killed Randy. I've been too hard on Scream my whole life, I think. She's wrong. 5 is the best in the franchise. 5 is the best in the franchise.
I got to disagree with you, Mr. Shake, on that. That was not predictable to me. I didn't see that coming.
I liked it.
I saw the one from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As soon as I saw her stupid face on screen, not the real like her character's face, because of the way she was like portraying it. But I've seen the actress in interviews. She's fine. I just don't want to say she has a stupid face, but you know what I mean. But anyway, like she was really good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, put her in the comment up because like, and I guess
as soon as I saw her, I'm like, you're the killer.
I guess the killer. It's not about. Here's the thing: is like every movie that I go, I ruined. This is a true story. When I went to go see The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Do you know the dinner scene right in the beginning?
Yeah.
So we've already seen this stuff with the kid, and we get into the dinner scene, and Bruce Willis is sitting at dinner with his wife. His wife isn't reacting, and I noticed that nobody in that scene is looking at Bruce Willis. Nobody is. And we already know about like seeing this kid sees dead people, and I was like, I literally said this out loud in the theater. And I'm regretted to this day, but I said out loud in the theater, oh, Bruce Willis is dead. Just because I couldn't filter myself. And everybody in the theater turned around and looked at me like, what a fucking asshole. Honestly,
I figured it out. Like,
it doesn't bother me when I figure something out because I've read so many books from my master's degree that like it's really hard to introduce me to a plot that I haven't seen. It's really difficult. And like, I don't know. I thought 5 was clever. I thought it was clever and well acted. I liked the actresses in it. The sisters. I love the sisters. Yeah. And the scene at the house at the end where the 3 original actors come and they get that like revenge part. Like, no, I like it. 5's above. 5's above. It's well acted. It's clever. It's unique. And I like it.
What gets me with 5 to be above is the simple fact that they brought it back to a point that honestly I don't even think the first one gave me, because they gave you this like visceral fucking like you felt the fucking stabs, man. You felt the anger in these fucking killers. Where honestly in the other Screams, I never really felt that way, and it almost felt playful for the first 2. You know, the fucking garage door, certain situations, and you know what I mean. So it's like, even to me, the scene where fucking at the beginning the dude's hanging and his guts are coming out, like although that's a quick shot, it was almost too quick for me, and for some reason it never hit the way it should have hit. But in these movies with 5 and 6 now, I'm like, if they would have brought this energy from Scream 1 all the way through and had the flow of the certain character arcs that they've had to build up to this point, this would be one of the best in my book ever. That I would always tell people, you're bugging. Scream is one of the pinnacles.
I think Scream 5's the top. I do.
Now, as far as it being in the slasher realm, I mean, to me, a slasher is always going to be a Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't consider it a slasher personally.
I do. I will say this though, Scream 5, and I agree with you. I wouldn't put. I put the first one at the top personally, but I think Scream 5 would be a second for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I said Scream 3 before, I never got to really explain myself. I don't like Scream 3 as a Scream movie, but I like it as a movie.
Right.
You know, I think on its own, if it was just its own movie, I think it would have been really good. But fair.
And honestly, this comparison would have been a completely different situation had they left it just at 4 with the way it ended and all the way that movie went. Thank God they tried to give it another chance, because I'm glad they revived it.
How do you feel, Chris, about comparing movies this way to like actually average instead of extremes? How does that like? You find it more difficult, less difficult?
I mean, it definitely makes you search a little bit more, but at the same time, honestly, like I've had a conversation internally with myself as I'm like rewatching some of my reviews and stuff, and I'm like, man, like where are you coming from for some of these fucking reviews? You know what I mean? It's like, yo, you're really comparing it to the very best and the very worst every single time, and it's like, how can you do that if a lot of movies are gonna be average? You can't compare it to 1% on either end.
That's my thing about it. Like, and that's what Mick and I talked about in terms of an art form. Like, if you're gonna measure art, you're gonna compare art. It really is about like how it compares to the mean. Like, I'm a data guy anyway, so like I have to push that kind of like narrative. I don't know. I didn't like. That's where Scream 6 kind of comes in for me, is like I put it below the Mendoza, even though I enjoyed watching it. Yeah, I put it below. Like I don't think the plot's very clever, and it was too choppy for me.
Wait, which one?
The last
Scream
one.
6, even though I really enjoyed.
I'm living in a whole new realm right now. But yeah, wait, what was Scream 5 again? Scream 6 was the one in New York, right?
Scream 6 is New York. Scream 5 was Jenna Ortega, and
yeah. Scream 5 is above. Scream 6 is so far below, it's burning in hell. Yeah, that's right.
Scream 6. I don't think it's below. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed 6, but it's not above the Miyagi Line, because honestly, I don't see myself like running out to rewatch it. I enjoyed watching the film. I think it missed Sidney Prescott.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of heart. There wasn't heart in the film, and we haven't really talked about that yet. But like, there was no heart in that film. There's no heart.
Here's what's wrong with Scream 6, and it's 100% the only reason. No, not the only reason, but it's 100% the main reason, is that nobody from the camp dies. See, in Scream 5, in their crew, some of them died, so there were stakes.
Yep.
In Scream 6, they all survived, and you never thought they were going to die. So yeah, they introduced new characters who died or were something else, and they added other elements where people get killed. But even Gail's still alive. Scream 5.
And how does Gail survive that? How does Gail survive that? How does she survive?
Scream 5, Dewey dies. We get the stakes, but let's say have friends die. It's real. Scream 6, Gail survives. Everyone.
How does she survive that scene? How does she survive that scene? In
She's part cockroach. I don't know.
Fuck that movie.
Survive a nuclear holocaust. She'll be fine.
I'm sure we're gonna get a Scream 7. Like,
see, honestly, I'm kind of at the point that I'm like, all right, we get it. Evil will keep going. There'll be somebody who gets pissed off or has some type of hardship,
how many more
wrongdoing, and they're gonna come on and put on the mask. I will tell you this: I saw a short film this week on Scream. I forget what channel I was on YouTube. That shit was fucking dope the way it occurred, and then the way it ended. Like, the chick ran outside as she was being chased, and she already got stuck once or twice. And then there's fucking like 30 ghost faces outside her house.
Yeah, no,
and then they run right to her, and that's where the fucking short film ends. And I'm like,
that's the scary shit. No.
Yo!
that is what Scream 6 should have been growing towards. The cult of Ghostface, like they were trying.
And then you actually get the social media threat as opposed to what you see in 4.
Yep.
Dude, son of a bitch, we just fixed it. This is a did I fix?
That's it. We just fixed the entire series and continuity and which part should go where. If they would have just done 5 or 6 is this movie.